Okay, let's dive into this explainer, because today we're tackling what might just be the ultimate fitness paradox. It's a massive trap. Almost everyone falls right into it the second they decide they want to build a better physique. We're going to explore the huge, massive difference between just accumulating gym volume and actually triggering real muscle growth. Look, we all want results, right? But the prevailing wisdom out there tells us that the only way to get them is to basically live inside the weight room. But what if everything we've been told about grinding is actually working against us? Let's break down the science of why, when it comes to packing on muscle, doing less might actually get you a whole lot more. Take a look at these two lifters. On the left side, we've got lifter A, right? They're hitting the gym 3 days a week. Over on the right, there's lifter B, who's in there grinding it out 6 days a week. Now, who do you think has the denser, more aesthetic physique? Honestly, most of us are completely conditioned to automatically point to lifter B. I mean, more days, more sets, more exercises. It just sounds like progress, doesn't it? But the reality is often the exact opposite. An absolute obsession with just doing more is exactly what keeps so many people completely stuck in a plateau. The reason you might not be growing has absolutely nothing to do with how many days you show up. The real problem is what you're actually doing once you step through the doors. I want you to be brutally honest with yourself for a second. Think back to your last chest workout. You did what? Maybe 4 or 5 or 6 sets on the bench press? Out of all those sets, how many were actually hard? And I don't mean just a little uncomfortable. I'm talking about the kind of hard where you're genuinely unsure if that last rep is ever going back up. For most people, it's maybe 1 set, 2 if they're super lucky. The rest of it, well, it's what we call theater lifting. You were moving weight, you were definitely sweating, you got a great pump, and you were completely out of breath. So your brain happily registers all of that exhaustion as a highly productive session, but your muscles, they barely even noticed you were there. Tiredness is simply not the same thing as being stimulated. And this brilliantly illustrates why the standard advice we hear is just so deeply flawed. Bodybuilders, fitness influencers, all those programs from enhanced athletes, they've really sold us this myth that a workout literally has to be 90 minutes and 20 sets to be effective. If you're in and out in under an hour, they kind of make you feel like you didn't even train. But try applying that logic literally anywhere else. It's like saying the longer you sit in a library, the smarter you become, right? But if you're just sitting there mindlessly scrolling on your phone or staring blankly at the wall, you could be there for 6 hours and learn absolutely zero. Time does not equal results. Focus and effort do. Volume has just become this cozy little comfort zone where we hide from the actual hard work. To really understand why this happens, we have to look closely at our biology. Your body only responds to one strict language, and that language is intensity. Building muscle is incredibly biologically expensive. It costs massive energy, it requires protein, oxygen, and some intense recovery. Think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. Your body is inherently lazy. It wants to keep you small and efficient because less muscle means less energy required, which historically meant a way better chance of surviving a famine. So if you want your body to build muscle, you have to give it a terrifyingly good reason. You've got to create a biological signal, an intensity so unimaginably strong that your body absolutely panics. It has to decide it has zero choice but to adapt and grow just to survive the next time you put it through that stress. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how a single set of an exercise is visualized. You see that massive 80% chunk? That right there is the commute. Those are the easy, relatively comfortable reps that really just get you into position. The magic, the actual biological trigger we just talked about, happens exclusively in that tiny 20% slice right at the end. That is the growth zone. We're talking about the last 2 or 3 ugly, shaking, grinding reps. The ones where your tempo dramatically slows down and your face contorts into an expression you would absolutely never post on social media. If you stop the set before you reach that 20% zone, well, you just took a long, tiring commute to work only to turn around and drive home before ever walking into the office. Let's move to and see how this builds into an actual workout scenario. We've got a classic tale of 2 lifters here. Our volume lifter does 5 sets. The first 2 are pretty comfortable, the third he gets a little tired, and by the 5th, yeah, he's totally exhausted. But it's just systemic fatigue, not muscular failure. His body never had to panic. The efficiency is practically 0. Now, check out the minimalist lifter. He knocks out 1 warm-up and then hits just 3 working sets. But those 3 sets are an absolute fight to the death with literally no gas left in the tank. Those 3 brutal sets send a massively louder signal to the body to grow than the 5 comfortable sets ever could. It's half the time, fewer sets, but double the stimulus. And guys, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a painful reality check that the original creator of this method had to face head on. After years of being the classic volume guy, doing up to 7 exercises per session, spending 2 hours sweating in the gym, and walking out feeling completely destroyed, he finally took a hard look at his training logbook. It was a massive wake-up call. His numbers literally hadn't moved in months. Same weight, same reps, just endless soul-crushing exhaustion. He was basically just going through the motions, completely mistaking being destroyed for being productive. But the very moment he stripped all that junk volume away and focused solely on a few brutal working sets, bam, his strength totally skyrocketed and his physique finally sharpened up. So what is the highly targeted solution to this trap of junk volume? Enter Section 2, the Hero Project, a minimalist system. This whole framework is designed for real life. It's engineered specifically for people who want an awesome, aesthetic, V-taper physique without having to dedicate their entire existence to the weight room. The core of this system is shocking in its simplicity. It's a 3-day weekly split. For example, you hit upper body on Monday, lower body on Wednesday, and upper body again on Friday with a slightly different focus. The magic here isn't just about the days you train. It's about the vital, non-negotiable importance of the days you don't. You absolutely must keep at least one full rest day between sessions. Why? Because if you are truly training with the level of intensity required to hit that 20% growth zone, your body desperately needs that time to recover. Spacing out the workouts is what ensures you show up to every single session with maximum uncompromised intensity. Now, when you are actually in the gym, the rules are incredibly strict, but they're brilliantly clear. You do 4 to 5 compound exercises, things like squats, pull-ups, overhead presses, dips. You do 1 warm-up set, then 3 working sets. Every single working set must be taken to absolute failure, or maybe just 1 rep short. Rest strictly for 90 to 120 seconds. No phones, absolutely no scrolling. Just total dialed-in focus. The ultimate metric of success here is progressive overload. Your singular overarching goal is to beat last week's numbers. If you aren't adding a rep or tacking on 2 more kilos, you simply are not growing. And here's the best part. Because the focus is so incredibly intense and all the extra fluff is completely eliminated, this entire process takes exactly 45 minutes. That's it. 45 minutes of pure uninterrupted focus. You get in, you send the biological signal to the muscle that it desperately needs to grow, and then you get out. No lingering around, no extra sets just for the sake of chasing a pump. The job is done. Which naturally brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the unseen work, recovery and adaptation. Remember, those 45 minutes in the gym, that's merely the signal. The actual biological adaptation, the literal physical building of brand new muscle tissue, happens exclusively when you are way outside the gym. If you skip this part, you might as well throw away all that brutal effort you just put in. The absolute foundation of this unseen work is getting 7 to 8 hours of high-quality sleep. And the timing matters immensely here. Our bodies are deeply tied to circadian rhythms, meaning sleeping from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. will consistently beat out sleeping from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. when it comes to restorative hormone release. Pair that optimal sleep with eating real, nutrient-dense food and hitting your protein goals, and you're finally giving your body the actual building blocks it needs to repair all the damage you caused during training. So the crucial point is, beyond just sleeping, how you handle your activity on your rest days is the next major piece of the puzzle. You definitely don't want to just lay on the couch all day, but you also shouldn't be destroying your soul on a treadmill for an hour. The sweet spot? It's roughly 10,000 steps a day. This provides incredibly effective active recovery. It promotes great blood flow to those recovering muscles, it burns a really solid amount of calories for fat loss, and crucially, it does all of this without completely frying your nervous system or interfering with your body's ability to rebuild tissue. It's just consistent, low-stress movement. Which brings us to the ultimate question you have to ask yourself right before your very next workout. When you step into that gym, are you just trying to get tired, or are you actually sending a clear, undeniable signal to your body to grow? It is absolutely time to ditch the 2-hour beast mode nonsense, train smarter, really embrace the deep discomfort of true intensity, respect your recovery time, and the results won't just be a possibility, they'll be completely inevitable. Keep that in mind the very next time you reach for the weights.